All right, so setting up for drawing, based on your past experiences with SureCuts a lot or any other cutting program for that matter, you're going to come up with a way to either are you going to be cutting in landscape mode or are you going to be cutting in portrait mode? And there's no correct answer on this one. It's just your personal preference. In this video, I think we're going to break this up into somewhat like two separate videos, sort of going over the concept of landscape versus portrait and what you would see, what you get type of environment. Okay, so the options are located for landscape as well as portrait mode inside SureCuts a lot here. And inside here, you can see under the document right here, we have horizontal, we have vertical. I mean, did you see any change on here? Well, the one thing that you are going to see is the arrow. Okay, that feeder arrow represents your cutting mat as how you're going to feed this into the machine, right? So that comes into play. For example, if we are designing, and maybe we'll go ahead and do this. I'll go ahead and pull up my library and grab a tree, right? Tree. And I'll go ahead and choose this. Okay, so we have this item here, and right now it's in this quadrant here. If we were to call these 1, 2, 3, 4 quadrants, and now we decide that we want to go back to the document and change this to a horizontal. First of all, it's going to ask us, do we want to rotate the shapes accordingly? So yeah, sure, let's go ahead and try that. And boom, now the tree has moved quadrants on our screen, but did it really move quadrants on the mat? That is, still in that first quadrant if we were to rotate it, right? So that's the whole idea of, hey, we need to make sure that we're putting our shapes, our paper, where we expect the things to cut. Okay, so we're first going to demonstrate this with using the landscape or the horizontal inside SureCuts a lot. Okay, so got a quick little miniature demo here with this. So this is how I would treat this. Okay, so we have the feeder arrow, we have that Christmas tree in that quadrant. Now, what we're going to want to do is we're going to want to, we're going to pretend that this is our physical mat here, and we're going to put a piece of paper on that, right? And then we're going to go ahead and slide this into the cutter. But my little overhead shot here is we have the, machine right here. Okay, we have the computer over here, and we have our desk. So that's how I sort of visualize this. And then, of course, we need our piece of paper in the mat, and we're going to go ahead and feed that mat inside of the machine like so. And this cutting head, although it's not drawn or moving, we're going to want that at the very bottom. Okay, so how would this look while you guys are designing and stuff? So I sort of thought about a way of doing it this way for you. So let me go ahead and bring up this camera view. So that's the machine. Let's go ahead and bring up my SureCuts a lot program here, and I'm going to bring on this camera here to sort of demo this here. So let me go ahead and bring this in. So we have our SureCuts a lot application here. We have my mat here, and look how I'm going to orient this arrow. So I'm going to match this with what I see inside SureCuts a lot. So the arrow's right here, arrow right here. I'm going to rotate my mat like so. And now that tree is in this quadrant here, which is this quadrant here. Okay, so that is how I'm going to visualize that. I'm going to plop my piece of paper right there, and then we're going to take a look at the cutting machine in action here. And I am using the pen tool. Okay, one other thing that I think I failed to mention to you on the desktop view here, which is we need to ensure that our mat size is very reflective of the mat size that we have. The mat size that I'm going to be currently using on there says it's a 15 by 15. So that will give me a true representation of what I have. Now, you are not going to see that on here. I had to create a custom mat by selecting this, And then for the width, I just chose 15, height chose 15, and hit OK. And now it's in my tray. Okay, we're going to have a separate video going over this, but anyways, that is what I have set up. So let's go ahead and choose my mat to make sure that it is truly 15 by 15. Move this over here. And now I'm going to go ahead and pause the video here, and we're going to go ahead and feed in the cutting mat. Okay, so let me go ahead and do that here. All right, so what I'm doing here is I have the wheels up with that lever, you know, the lever that controls all the wheels. You can see that my paper is in the good location. And then what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to make sure that my pen or my tool is going in the bottom right here. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and try to line that up as best as I can. And then I'm going to go ahead and bring those wheels down. Okay, so now that the mat is set, let's go ahead and go into Sure Cuts a Lot, and we'll take a look there. All right, so we're inside Sure Cuts a Lot now. We should see the picture-in-picture that I have here of the machine. And now we're going to go ahead and select up here where it says Cutter. I'm going to go ahead and do that. And again, because I'm using the pen tool, I'm going to choose a few settings here. What you see is what you get, and that's what I'm going to choose. Okay. Use the software speed for pressure, and for the pen tool, I have it set as 30 for the pressure. Speed is 4. And then right here, pen holder, or the holder anyway, it's going to be pen, and we're going to talk about what this means here later, but just make sure you select it if you're going to be using the pen. Like I said, I always suggest that you practice with the pen. That way you don't like damage blades and stuff, because it can get expensive, right? So the next thing is I'm going to go ahead and click on the cut on this, and then we'll see what happens here. And it looks like we did place the paper in a very good location. You can see that it's cutting, or drawing anyway, and it's drawing out that Christmas tree that we made. Okay. You already saw on my Sure Cuts a Lot screen that the cut session has ended, but this just goes to show you that, trying to imagine your screen and the mat, and as long as you can do that, you should be fine on where things line up. Again, I'm using the what you see is what you get method. It's not my favorite method, but that's the one that a lot of new users like to do. I'm much more of an origin person, and we'll talk about that one a little bit later as well. But just know that practice makes perfect when you're doing your testing here. And let me go ahead and bring out that paper so we can sort of show you like what it looked like. Okay, so hold on here. All right, so you can see how doing this really worked out. I got the tree on the piece of paper. That's what would have cut out, obviously, and that's what you see over there on the screen. So again, this method that I'm showing you, practice, because it's going to help you visualize where things are going to be cut out. Okay, so we'll talk about the portrait mode here in the next video. Okay.